Totally Football Show, European edition. Today, Champions League Round 7. Endspiel for Dortmund. Will Sion be goodbye after trip to Bologna? And speaking of Sion, is Ten Hag really lined up to replace him? Malheur à perdon in Paris as PSG face Man City in a must-win matchup. We look at Rizians. The Parisians could do it. Also today, Mbappe finds his shooty boots, Coma get Dele Alli, and why Conte is a condemned man in Naples. All that and more in this Totally Football Show. Because of the early start time of today's Champions League action, we've trimmed down a little this edition of the Totally Football Show in order to reach you as quickly as possible. However, if you want to hear Seb Stafford-Bloor on the Bundesliga, don't worry, you can by going to wherever you get your podcasts, and then you'll have the show in full. Tuesday, 21st of January, here's James Horncastle.
Hello.
All right, James. And here's Julien Laurent.
Bonjour.
And how long have you two been sat here waiting?
Just half an hour for you, but it's okay.
Half an hour.
You know, those big stars always arrive late, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
We're just professionals. You know how you hear about those football players who get in early and then they stay after?
You practice
you probably didn't know that we were starting a bit earlier, despite requesting it yourself.
No, you requested it, Jules, because
I said my train is at 11:43 to Liverpool.
Yeah, so I said, let's start early.
Yeah, let's start at 9:30, you said. I said, great. And then you showed up at 10 to 10.
That's not
having literally been on the beach.
Yeah. Lovely weekend out here.
Yeah, it was nice.
Did you watch Las Palmas? Did you watch Las Palmas this weekend?
I didn't. They lost 4-1 though. I mean, I've seen the... Yeah. Liverpool, Lille. That's where you're heading, Jules.
Tonight, yeah, that's right. Very exciting
Tuesday.
game.
Tonight as we record. Yeah, Liverpool with that 100% record. Lille, though, they pulled off some big scalps.
They did. Unbeaten in 21 games, Lille, which is the best current series in the big 5 leagues.
He's the best Pep Genesio.
Pep Genesio himself.
Do you think, Jules, that...
I think it might be hard. The only thing I would say is this Liverpool team is cruising in the Champions League and already qualified and...
Almost.
Very likely being top of the whole league, group, whatever, phase. So for that, they might just not take this game as seriously because they are already cruising. And then Lille will have a chance. But there's nothing you can take for granted with this Lille team because I think they could be so good on their day, as we saw against Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, even a Juventus team that was a bit disappointing that night in France, but still. So it should be fun. It should be really fun.
Right. Lille currently 8th, and that's in the automatic qualifying places, but it's so tight between Arsenal in 3rd and Club Brugge in 19th. You've only got 3 points, so could all switch around so easily over the next couple of evenings.
I think only 5 teams are sort of have their destiny already settled, don't they? In terms of like Liverpool, pretty much guaranteed.
Liverpool not quite guaranteed, but
pretty
much.
But pretty much of at least being in the
direct
kind of punishment playoff,
right?
You know?
Right.
And then you've got Leipzig,
Young Boys, Slovan Bratislava, and Leipzig already eliminated.
Yeah. So in terms of this format, you know, sort of there's still being a lot of teams with lots of things to play for going into the final 2 match days. Is it working by that metric?
I think so. It's very exciting.
You know.
There you go. I think we're going to do a lot
Keeping counsel there, presenter. Like, you know, I'm not here to answer the questions. I'm just here to ask the questions. You know?
I'm going to ask some questions about the Champions League. Here's a question for you right now, James. What's the latest on Juan Bernabé? Is he still barricaded inside Lazio's training ground with his eagle?
He is, surely.
He is. He's not standing down. I mean, he was barricaded in Formello, which is where Lazio trained, but partly because he lives there anyway. Which I always found that
free rent. Do you think?
Well, I mean, I found this quite strange because, he is by his own admission very active, and if you're going to be very active, you know,
with women,
where are you taking these girls back? I mean, in terms of Rome training ground, dangerous liaisons, like Antonio Cassano in his book, like memorably sort of spoke about, you know, bringing girls back to Trigoria. But anyway, Bernabé, he released a kind of apology video where he apologized to Claudio Lotito, the person, but not the president, which was a quite strange way of of making an apology. And then he's just shown up at various Lazio stores in Rome with his eagle. With one of his bald eagles. Yeah. And he does this thing where he looks like, who is the Ganyem style? He has the whole Sai kind of look, which like he comes dressed in like a suit and then with like some really ostentatious glasses, and then just holds it like gold glasses, and then he has the eagle. But yeah, I mean, he's also barricaded himself in the training ground because he's recovering. He's post-op. You know, I mean,
that's true.
It's quite a big procedure.
Okay, more next week, no doubt. What about a moment of the weekend, Jules?
Well, I start in Saint-Etienne on Sunday because Gillian Nguessan, who's 16 and 137 days, started for Saint-Etienne. He's the new prodigy of the academy, a very good academy, as we know, Fofana, Saliba. The most recent examples, I guess, of good products, good graduates from the Saint-Etienne Academy. At 16 and 104 months or something, he became the 9th or the 11th youngest ever player in French top flight to start a game. He had come on a couple of weeks ago to make his debut for Saint-Etienne, where he joined the club when he was 7. He's a Saint-Etienne born and bred kid, massive fan of the club. So pretty special day for him. Saint-Etienne drew 1-1. He looked good. He looked okay. He's still very young and very raw, you can tell. But he's got a lot of energy. He's got great pace. A lot of big clubs in Europe were scouting him since he's been a kid, because he was always very, very good. And I guess, again, every time we talk about something like this, we say what we were doing when we were 16, certainly not playing in Ligue 1, so well done to him.
Playing in Ligue 1.
No, in Serie A.
Jules, you were playing in Ligue. What would you have been playing in when you were
16, no. It was when I was 18, I was playing in Ligue 2.
Ligue 2?
Yeah. But 16 it still feels like...
Yeah.
No, but Neil Maupay, obviously, former Everton and Brentford, and now in Marseille, was 16.
Still Everton, isn't he?
No, he's at Marseille now.
Marseille now, yeah. But he keeps
No, but isn't he on loan from Everton?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that's what I mean.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I think he was 16 and 30 days when he played for Nice at the time. And the record that will never be beaten is Laurent Paganelli, who was 15 and 300 days when he started for Saint-Etienne in 1978.
Right.
That record would never be beaten. But yeah.
Incredible.
And Ligue 1 remains the league where the youngest players play in the big 5 leagues. We have the most players born from 2003 and beyond who've been playing in the league. So Nguessan is one, and Mbaye, who played for PSG when he was 16 at the start of the season, is also born in 08. So they're the 2 youngest players in,
Wow.
So Kamada is also an 08 one who played for Milan this season, yeah. There's a Genoa player.
Yeah, who played
Honest,
recently.
I can't remember his surname. Honest Ahanor, who played for Genoa this season at 16 and 218 days. Yeah, and David Otorbi, who plays for Valencia, was also 16, and he was born in 2007 though. So
madness. Yeah. Nice madness. James, the moment of the week? End?
I would say it's the reception Antonio Conte and the Napoli team got when they came back from Bergamo in the early hours of, would that be Saturday, Sunday morning? Can't remember. But
so it's 3 a.m., no, when they finally get
3 a.m. I mean, Italian fans are famous for doing this. You know, it's not just a Neapolitan thing, but first real show of enthusiasm, belief that Napoli could win a 4th league title in their history, 2nd in 3 years. And Conte grabbing a megaphone off one of the fans and leading some of the chants, which, you don't usually see him get that carried away. So it was good. And, obviously it was the week that Kvaratskhelia went to Paris Saint-Germain, and yet they won in a really difficult place in Bergamo, edged a great game with some great goals from Politano, Lookman. Could have gone either way that game. But as is often the case, that Conte mentality, that grit, kind of did well for them. So so it would be. I don't know how a league title so soon after their last would be received, because obviously it will be very well celebrated, but it's different from winning the first ever league title in '87. It's different from going 33 years without winning a title, which was what they had to do a couple of years ago with Spalletti. But I kind of think this feels like a really impressive league title if they were to do it, because Osimhen's gone to Galatasaray, Kvaratskhelia gone to PSG, Kim, who was really crucial when they last won the league, the centre-half, he went to Bayern Munich the season before last. So.
Fabio Ruiz. You've had so many players lose. And they had that mini dip last season. And I think this season, nobody thought that they were going to be title contenders.
I mean, I tipped them in my preview.
Did you?
Only because
everything.
I feel Conte is a guarantee.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. One person thought they could do it then.
I don't think I was alone. I think Conte commands that kind of respect to the point where he says it's his condemnation. This is la mia condanna. Like everyone
He's condemned to win.
Yeah, everyone just looks at him and he's like, you're going to win. And he's like, that's actually a lot of pressure that I take upon myself. But it's pressure that I've created.
Wow.
But yeah, so Napoli.
The thing about the one 2 years ago, they had the Champions League as well to manage. And they did really well until that, obviously, game against Milan in the quarterfinals, to the point that we thought they could go even far in the Champions League.
Yeah, they should have done.
Whereas this season, it's just the league. And I think that in itself doesn't make it easier to win Serie A. But if you don't have the two big competitions to focus on, it's probably slightly easier to just manage your team for that game at the weekend. And that's pretty much it.
That could be good news for PSG's title ambitions in Ligue 1, of course.
Why do you have to go there straight away after being late as well?
Let's get on to Champions League match day 7 next. So, George, you're off to Liverpool-Lille.
Yes.
And that's going to be exciting, but perhaps the game that's most dominating your thoughts awaits on Wednesday as Paris Saint-Germain take on Man City. Paris Saint-Germain currently lying outside even the playoff positions, 25th. Man City not doing too well, they're 22nd. How many points are they ahead of PSG? 1. 1 point. Crikey. Also, games to look out for this week. You got on Tuesday, today as we record, Barcelona against Benfica. Barcelona currently lying 2nd. Atletico against Leverkusen. That's going to be big.
That's good, yeah.
Atletico currently lying 11th. They've just had their 15-match winning streak come to an end at the hand of little Leganés. Leverkusen lying 4th. And they're on, I think, an 11-game winning streak.
Yeah, that's right.
On Wednesday, also Monaco, Aston Villa, because there's loads of those Franco-English.
3 for the first time ever.
Wow.
Let's not talk about dictators, James, so soon after the inauguration, please. No.
Monaco's form was
dreadful the last 2
dreadful.
months. Yeah,
no wins in 4 since the new year.
Yeah.
Lost to the league bottom team in Ligue 1 on Friday.
Why is that,
Montpellier,
Jules?
after being 1-0 up as well. It's a good question, James. Is it time now for Aston Villa,
James,
Monaco,
that's the
Aston Villa?
question. We're just here to chitter and chatter.
Yeah. They did the same last year. I don't know if it's like a New Year kind of bad resolution thing, but last year they struggled as well at the start of the year. Their leaders who've been so good for them, Zakaria, Singo, Golovin, those kind of players, in terms of leadership, has just gone AWOL. There's just no response from them. Defensively, they used to be very solid. They're not anymore. And I guess the two players that made them really special in Ben Seguir and Akliouche, that we talked a lot about before, are also going through like a tough time. So in terms of creativity, defensive solidity, they're just not there yet. They still score on set pieces, which is something that they've always done and have been very good at. And again, on Friday night, they did. But overall, it's just not good enough with the ball for a team that at time looked so dominant and earlier in the season, and now it's all gone. They're low on confidence, they have no momentum, they look tired. And this, even if it's not that playing at the Louis II is a guarantee for them anyway, considering nobody's going to show up tonight.
Jules, don't say that.
Not many people, sorry. Monaco in the winter is, as you know, dead. So don't expect the biggest atmosphere outside of the Villa fans. But yeah, it's a shame because the good work that they did between the start of the season up to end of November, it's just been ruined by the last 2 months.
Oof.
Pretty much, yeah.
There you go. Monaco Aston Villa is on Tuesday. On Wednesday, you've got boys against young boys. Celtic against the Swiss side. Brendan Rodgers with a real chance of getting Celtic through to the knockout stage. They're currently lying 21st, 2 points above the teams, the chasing pack, like your PSGs, etc. Arsenal taking on Dinamo Zagreb, who have got a new manager.
Did you say Dinamo
Fabio
Kiev?
Cannavaro.
Yeah. There's actually a few Italians, isn't it? Like Gattuso is obviously an Hajduk split, also in Croatia, and Rijeka has an Italian coach as well.
Oh, yeah.
But no,
just across the water, of course. But that's exciting.
Fiume. There used to be Fiume, Rijeka, didn't it? I mean, we're talking about the restoration of the Italian Empire. I mean, no, So Rijeka, it is across the water, James.
Okay.
It was contested. People felt it should be Italian, like Gabriele D'Annunzio and Benito Mussolini. But anyway, let's.
But Arsenal taking on Dinamo Zagreb. Who are actually just above
That's right,
Paris Saint-Germain. And what else you got? Leipzig against Sporting, which sounds like it's a really big game. At Leipzig are already out. They lost all their games so far. Sporting are very much in the mix, currently lying 17th. And then, as mentioned, PSG, Man City. Defeat in this game for Paris Saint-Germain would it wouldn't rule them out, but it would mean it's out of their hands going into the final match day. Who have Paris Saint-Germain got in the final match day?
Stuttgart away, who are level on points, but behind PSG on goal difference. Stuttgart -3, PSG are on 0. Goal difference, as we've been saying all along, will be massive because you would expect a lot of teams to have the similar amount of points, and then it will all be down to goal difference, really.
Okay. Man City warming up for this with a major victory, 6-0 against Ipswich at the weekend. How are you feeling about Paris Saint-Germain's chances?
They in very good form themselves, although the first half on Saturday against Lens wasn't great. There was a lot of changes that Luis Enrique made clearly before this huge game against City. The second half was much better. They scored a great second goal from their box, building up to the Lens box in 6 passes. It was really a wonderful team goal. There was no Hakimi, no Dembele, no Marquinhos, who are expected to be back on Wednesday, which is massive. And there's both the tension. Also, it seems quite serene in Paris within the squad, which I find a little bit surprising, maybe because City are back, clearly. I know Ipswich were not very good on Sunday, but City are back, certainly with the ball. Defensively, they might still be a bit fragile, but with the ball, I think they are as good as they've ever been this season. So this is going to be a massive test. De Bruyne and Foden are in great form. Haaland on the back of the new contract as well. So it should be very good. But I think this PSG team can do it. This game for both teams is huge, right? It feels like we say in French, malheur au perdant, as in like really bad luck to the loser of this game, if there's a loser. But then City host Bruges on the last game of this game, which is 3 points guaranteed pretty much for them.
Is it?
It is.
Bruges?
Nah, it is. So City could afford to lose.
It's the same City team that drew 1-1 against Everton recently.
Well, that was...
They drew 2-2 at Brentford.
True, but Brentford, they were 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Brentford are better than Bruges, especially away from home. Bruges at home, as we saw against Villa when they won on that weird penalty given away by Tyrone Mings, for example. They were good, they were solid, but I don't think at the Etihad City have anything to fear against Bruges. Whereas PSG will go to Stuttgart, as we mentioned, on the last game, which is a very different dynamic to it. Right. So I think City can almost afford not to win on Wednesday or have a draw, and it's fine. Right. Because I think they will get 3 points. That would be 11 if they beat Bruges. 11, you are guaranteed to go through anyway. Right. For PSG, if they lose on Wednesday and win Stuttgart, that's 10. 10, we're not sure yet if that takes you through or not. So I think the pressure is even more on PSG. So we'll have to see, and Kvaratskhelia will be in the stand because he's not eligible, obviously, naturally to play. And Kuzanov is the same for City, or Marmoush if Marmoush is signed by then. So it should be fun in this Luis Enrique against Pep Guardiola, and that.
He's got a good record against Pep. Yeah. Also, Paris Saint-Germain, last time they had Man City at theirs, they won, Jules, 2-0. Do you remember?
Yeah, I think so, and so should you too, because on the goal show, this was Messi's first goal for the club since he arrived the summer before. And I think it's fair to say that I lost my shizzle a bit.
Paris, Jules, quickly. The counter-attack from Leo Messi. Leo Messi, the 1-2 with Kylian Mbappé. Messi! Oh, Messi! 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 Here is the first goal and one goal to make it 2-0 for PSG!
Wow. That's a memory from when we used to do the goal show. Because on this occasion, one of the world's greatest talents won't be there at the game, and neither will Leo Messi. No, but it's the new kind of lower profile PSG.
Very much so.
But
I thought you meant lower profile goal.
Also,
low profile Jimbo.
No profile.
I played with fire. You
were looking for it. You were looking for it.
So no, but PSG, they good results now. It's coming together for Luis.
Yeah,
Enrique
it
now.
is a bit. 33 games unbeaten run now away from home, which I think is just one short of the Big Five leagues record from Bayern Munich, I think, or the next step is Bayern Munich with 35 or something like that. Against Lens on Saturday, first half not good, second half much better, especially on that Barcola goal who hadn't scored in 10 games. So it's good, but again, it's Ligue 1 it's just too easy for them. They're unbeaten.
Right.
They've hardly dropped any points. They're 9 points clear of Marseille in second. So this is where it matters. And they're also in this position because they should have got more points. And they drew, obviously, against PSV Eindhoven. They lost that crazy game against Atletico Madrid where they had so many chances in both games, didn't take advantage. They were outplayed by Arsenal at the Emirates back in October. So this is why they're there. But now they need points.
And City, 4-1 thrashing by Sporting. That collapse at home to Feyenoord, beaten by Juve. So, they've not been doing too well either. Otherwise,
No, but they are better
position.
now than they were a month ago. And I joked yesterday on French radio that PSG should have played that game a month ago because now it's true. It's a different dynamic totally compared to if they'd played them when Feyenoord played them, for example, when they were really at the heart of that incredible crisis they went through. Now it's very different. They will arrive with far more certainties and momentum than...
And Kvaratskhelia, who can play now.
No, yeah, ineligible, and same for Kusanov on the other side. So you obviously have a squad that you register for the whole group phase.
Yeah.
And because now it spills onto January signing can't play until the knockout stage. So we might not even see Kvaratskhelia play at all in Champions League if PSG don't make it.
Okay. I don't know. The way that teams have beaten Man City of late, passing through them at pace, that kind of thing.
Yeah, true.
I think PSG are eminently capable of doing that.
You're right.
It could go either way. It's going to be a
You're
huge
right.
game.
Yeah,
One of the games to watch out for.
You're right. I think transitions is key here for PSG to go forward very quickly, and they have certainly the pace for that. And we expect a force 9 again, not Gonzalo Ramos starting. And on the other hand, they will have to be very careful, especially Zaire Emery, who we expect to play in that midfield 3 on the right, to make sure that De Bruyne doesn't find the space in that left half space like he did against Ipswich. That was him and Doku were so good. So PSG will have to be very wary of that.
Okay. But we're going to start a look at the leagues, the domestic leagues, with Serie A. Romelu Lukaku, sealing. A game that, as you said earlier, James, could have gone either way. Atalanta 2, Napoli 3. Part of a magnificent double-header on Saturday in Serie A, because before that we had the big Juve-Milan clash. But Napoli, in a week that had seen them wave goodbye to another of the heroes of the Scudetto, what a significant result that felt like.
Yeah, they keep finding, not finding ways to win. They're just very consistent, Napoli. And it feels like they are all on autopilot. They know exactly what they have to do. Setbacks, they don't seem to faze them. They just keep playing. And I think one of the stories this season has been Anguissa, who, was completely anonymous last year, really went backwards, as did a lot of Napoli's players. He is probably the best midfield player in the league at the moment. And that tandem that they've got going on with him and Scott McTominay.
Right. Michael Cox done a lovely piece, a lovely breakdown on this, the way those two operate as kind of free eights.
Yeah.
And he also talks about how Conte's been really surprisingly flexible in his approach with the team, the way he's setting them up game by game, week by week. Yeah,
I remember when Conte got the Juventus job in 2011, I think it was, he was welcomed amid scepticism because he kind of coached in the second division with Siena and Bari. He'd coached Atalanta briefly, got fired by Atalanta. And he was known as an integralista, which is like someone who only plays one way. And that way then was playing 4-2-4, 4-4-2, and it was only after Juventus played Napoli in the autumn that year that he changed, played 3-5-2, and then became so more associated with that system than perhaps any coach in the world, even more than sort of Giampiero Gasperini. So this is sort of him going back to his roots, playing, sort of 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, whatever it is. But I think this makes it really impressive with Conte, because he's changed system. He's regularly lost key members of that league title-winning side, be it Osimhen, be it Kvaratskhelia. He's dealing with a very kind of underplayed injury crisis at the moment, where you've got Buongiorno, the big signing. He's out, so they're playing Juan Jesus at the back. Spinazzola, who's never been the same player since he ruptured his Achilles at the Euros 3-4 years ago. He's come into the team recently. And Lukaku has not had the season that he had at Inter when he was playing under Conte, where he played the best football of his career. But in the big games, which again is not something people identify with Lukaku, they just think he's a flat-track bully. But in the big games this year, he's often showed up either with goal like he did in Bergamo, lovely sort of glancing header, and then with assists as well. So, I don't know. To go back to Conte, where would you put this if they do win the title in his he's won. He would win. This would be the fourth different team he's won a league with.
That's impressive.
He took over Juventus that hadn't won since Calciopoli, that finished 7th in back-to-back years with a pretty average-looking team. He then goes to Chelsea. Chelsea'd had a Mourinho season, to use his phrase. They'd finished mid-table. They were out of Europe, but that was Klopp had already had 6 or 7 months at Liverpool. It was Pep's first year at Man City. It was Mourinho's first year at Man United, and he was the one who won the league. I still think that is overlooked as being a massive achievement. At Inter, they hadn't won the league since Mourinho. And then Napoli, as I said, it feels slightly strange because winning the league with Napoli was once this holy grail, wasn't it? That only Maradona could do. And then a couple of years ago, Spalletti does it. So would that take the shine off this? I'm not sure. I think to do it with some of the same group, the goalkeeper Meret, Rachmani, Di Lorenzo, the captain, Lobotka, Anguissa, Politano, there's still a group of players who've won the league with Napoli there, but it's not the 2 people that even the 3 people most people associate it with, Kim, Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen. So it's impressive from Antonio.
And Zielinski as well.
Yeah, Zielinski.
They're currently 3 points ahead of Inter, who have a game in hand. Next up for Napoli, because they don't have midweek football, will be Juventus at the weekend. Juventus, who finally ended that run of draws, and what a way to do it. 2-0 against Milan. It was their first home win in 2 months.
Yeah, and it was one of their best performances of the season, if not the best performance that they put in this season. They should have won by a bigger margin, I think. Second half completely dominated Milan, which was the opposite of what happened in the Super Cup, where they took the lead in that game, as they've often taken lead in games. And then out of nowhere, Milan got back into it. Partly because Sergio Conceição created this mythology about, in the dressing room at half-time, he just sort of ran the riot act and scared all the players into turning the game around. In this one, it was Juventus that got better after the break. Pressed really, really well. And, just as they're still attempting to sign Randal Kolomuani, because they haven't been able to register him at the time of recording because PSG have loaned too many players out. Just as he's come into the team, Motta's kind of showing that, actually we don't need strikers. So Dusan Vlahovic didn't play in this game, and he was available. They played Nico Gonzalez, and Nico is just very good, hustling all over the field. The last 2 performances from Juve, away in Bergamo against Atalanta, and this win shows. Are they clicking? Are they beginning to click? Because it was this time last year that Bologna clicked under Thiago Motta after, sort of, to be honest, he'd been in the job already over a year then, but it was from sort of mid-January onwards that Bologna started really to roll and get into that Champions League qualifying position. So I suppose if you're a Juve fan, you're hoping that this is it for them. But we'll have to see, A, how they do against Bruges in the Champions League, and B, this massive game in Naples.
They have the trip to Bruges. Milan are going to be taking on Girona, whose goalkeeper saved his fourth successive penalty at the weekend. Casaniga. But they still lost to Sevilla. Milan currently lying 12th. Girona all the way down in 30th, which is a bit rubbish. In to take on Sparta Prague. Bologna up against Borussia Dortmund. But it's worth pointing out, perhaps, Bologna, who went on that amazing run to the top four last season, with Vincenzo Italiano, who's taken over from Thiago Motta, they're currently ahead of where they were last season under Motta.
Yeah, even though they've lost Calafiori and Zirkzee. They drew like too many games at the beginning of the season, and then particularly from sort of November onwards, started to turn some of those draws into wins, and were unlucky in games against Juventus, for example. There was another big game that they deserved more from as well. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like they can at the very least get back into Europe.
Very interesting. All right, you can get your train.
I go, yeah.
To Merseyside.
Perfect, to Merseyside. I see all you Liverpool fans tonight.
Excellent. And we'll catch up with you in the next Totally Football Show European edition. Remind me when that will be.
Next week, Monday probably or Tuesday for Champions League on Wednesday. Last Champions League.
All right, Monday if we can. Are you heading off?
No, yeah, I will be here Monday.
Could be out early if I make it. If I turn up on time. So sorry about that. And again, so grateful that you were so
you
gracious.
You redeemed yourself with such a great show. It's fine.
Oh, thank you. I think it's. Yeah. Thank you. You too, Jules.
Thank you
too. Yeah. Thank you as well, James. Great show. And also many thanks to Liam and producer Lucy. And you listener, we're back next Tuesday sometime or other. Be with us then. For now, from all of us here, it's goodbye. The Totally Football Show podcast is available 3 times a week, bringing you all the football news you could reasonably be expected to care about. We've got views, we've got stats, we've got analysis, we've got some of the best football writers around, and the whole thing is absolutely free. So have a listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or all the usual places by clicking on the link below.